It can be hard to talk with your kids about driving safely without it developing into a fight. You're worried for your child's safety, so your tone might sound harsh and your kids might misinterpret the tension in your voice for anger at them rather than concern for their safety. Try not to interject your fear into the conversation and instead talk about the facts. Here are some good talking points and advice. Deaths due to drink driving are at a much lower level than they were a decade or so ago. However, recent figures show a worrying reversal of this trend, so it's doubly important that you emphasise to your children the importance of never drinking and driving. Help your kids understand that everyone's body processes alcohol differently, and being under the legal limit doesn't mean that you are safe to drive. The fact is, the two should never be combined. Remember, act to be safe, not to be legal. The standard advice is, if you've had anything to drink, don't risk driving. Any amount of alcohol can impair your driving. The risk can extend to the following morning. A drinking session the night before can easily put you over the legal limit. So, if they've had a night out, help your kids prepare alternative travel plans for the next day. If they drive to a party, don't risk them driving home. Stress that you'll collect them at any hour or pay for a local taxi. Police arrests for drug driving have gone through the roof in recent years. You can test positively on a roadside test weeks after something has been taken, and the limits are set so low that any small indulgence will be detected. Drugs affect people in different ways, but talk to your kids about how their driving is likely to be impaired. Slower reaction times, poor concentration, sleepiness and fatigue, confused thinking, distorted perception and overconfidence. Overconfidence especially can lead to greater risk-taking, such as overtaking at inappropriate moments. Driving like this, when paired with distorted perception and slow reaction times, is a deadly mix. Emphasise that it's not just your kids and their friends' lives at risk, but also the life of anyone they might cross paths with, road user or pedestrian. It's not just illegal drugs that can impair driving. Some prescription medication also impacts your ability to drive, and the police can check if you're exceeding specified levels. Check with your doctor before driving. The problem with speed limits is they're seen as a target, but they're the absolute speed limit, not a rule for how fast you should be going. The reality is, there are a bunch of other factors that go into determining the correct speed for the conditions, such as the weather, the type of road, and whether or not there are other road users around. Help your child reframe speed by thinking of it this way. At this speed, could I stop in the distance I can see to be clear? If the answer is no, then they're driving too fast. It's so easy to get distracted while driving, but it's so dangerous. There are a few things you can advise to limit its impact on your kids' driving. If they need to do something distracting, like checking their phone or looking up directions, find a safe place to pull over. The best thing to do, though, is plan their route in advance, so they're not having to work it out as they go. You could even suggest doing a dry run on Google Street View. Help them recognise what they find distracting, then work out whether or not they really need to do it. For example, their phone should be put on silent each time they get behind the wheel. It's not just tech that can be distracting. After an emotional event, they might need time to calm down before they're ready to drive. Concentrate on driving. Sometimes easier said than done, but it takes constant effort to pay attention to the road. Belting up is absolutely essential. Many people die needlessly each year because they haven't bothered to do so. In fact, you're twice as likely to die in a crash if you're not wearing a seatbelt. And it's not just you who could get hurt. If you're unbuckled and you collide with a passenger, it could cause them serious harm as well. The best thing you can do as a parent is to set a good example. When you fail to buckle in, that's often taken on board by your children, who think it's okay to travel in a car without belting up.